Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
It's great to be back.
Today we're going way back
Oh, yeah?
to ancient China.
Sounds fascinating.
We're looking at Chapter 6 from the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine.
Okay.
This chapter is all about longevity, mortality, and how to achieve health
Interesting.
by understanding this balance of yin and yang within us.
Yin and yang.
Yeah.
The classic concept.
Right. I've always been so fascinated by ancient medical practices,
Me too.
and this chapter is just packed with insights
I like that.
that still resonate even today.
I think it's incredible how these ancient practitioners in China
Yeah.
were already thinking about health so holistically.
Thousands of years ago.
Thousands of years ago.
It's amazing.
Recognizing how interconnected everything is within the body.
Absolutely. And they really emphasize the importance of this concept of qi, which is like the vital energy that flows through our bodies. It's what animates us, what keeps us going. Have you ever heard the saying, where qi goes, blood flows?
Yes, definitely. It's a perfect illustration of how qi is seen as this fundamental force
Yeah.
that drives all these physiological processes. It's like the fuel that keeps the engine running.
Okay. So let's unpack this idea of yin and yang,
Okay.
which the text says is essential for understanding how that qi flows. I know it's often described as the interplay of opposites, but
Right.
how does that actually work within the body?
Think of it like a dance
Oh, okay.
between two complementary forces.
Uh-huh.
Yin is associated with coolness, stillness, nourishment,
Okay.
while yang represents warmth, movement, and activity.
Gotcha.
They're not really opposing forces in a combative sense,
Okay.
but rather two sides of the same coin.
So it's not about one being good and the other bad.
Exactly. It's all about balance.
Okay.
Too much yin
Yeah.
or too much yang throws things off. The text says that every part of the body,
Mhm.
every organ,
Okay.
even our emotions, can be categorized as either yin or yang.
Interesting.
And when they're in harmony,
Yeah.
that's when we experience health and vitality.
Okay, so how did they apply this idea of yin and yang to actually diagnose illnesses?
Good question.
Did they have specific methods or tests?
They were incredibly observant.
Real?
They relied on a combination of techniques.
Mm.
They'd ask about your symptoms, of course,
Right.
but they would also pay close attention to things like your pulse,
Oh, wow.
your tongue, your complexion,
Interesting.
even the sound of your voice.
Wow.
They were looking for any signs of imbalance.
That's so different from how we approach diagnoses today.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But there's a beauty in that holistic approach.
Yeah.
They were trying to understand the whole person, not just the isolated symptoms.
I see.
And based on what they observed, they would categorize illnesses as either primarily yin or yang.
So give me an example.
Well, for example, they described wind diseases as affecting yang, while bai diseases, which involve obstruction and stagnation, were considered more yin in nature.
So let's talk about how they actually treated these imbalances. The text mentions a variety of methods,
Yeah.
including acupuncture.
Yes, acupuncture is a cornerstone of traditional Chinese medicine.
Right.
The idea is that by inserting needles into specific points along the body's meridians,
Uh-huh.
you can influence the flow of qi and restore balance.
Those meridians are like energy pathways, right?
Exactly. They're these invisible channels that connect all the different parts of the body.
Oh, okay.
And each point along a meridian is associated with a specific organ or function.
Interesting.
So depending on the nature of the imbalance,
Yeah,
the practitioner would choose which points to needle.
that's fascinating. But didn't they also use other techniques besides needling?
You're right.
The text mentioned something about different types of needling, too.
Yeah, they weren't limited to just inserting and removing needles.
Right.
They had techniques like yang,
All right.
which involved releasing blood from specific points,
Oh, well.
and wei, which focused on releasing qi.
Interesting.
There was even a technique called cold bai needling,
So,
specifically for treating lingering pain and numbness.
wait, so they had different needling methods for different types of imbalances?
They did.
I'm really curious to know more about how those techniques actually worked.
Well, each technique had its own specific purpose. Yin was used to clear heat and stagnation,
Okay.
often when there were signs of inflammation or infection. Wei, on the other hand, aimed to stimulate the flow of qi,
I see.
addressing issues like fatigue or weakness.
And what about that cold bai technique? What made it unique?
Cold bai needling was designed to generate warmth and dispel cold from the body, which they believed was the underlying cause of those lingering aches and pains.
Okay.
The text even mentions that this technique could elicit sensations of warmth or tingling spreading from the needle site.
Wow. Okay, so It sounds like they had a very sophisticated system
They did.
for tailoring their treatments
Yeah.
based on this deep understanding of the body's energy flow.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just about addressing the physical symptoms.
Right.
They also recognized the profound influence of emotions on our health.
You mean like how stress can make you sick?
Exactly. The text talks about how negative emotions like worry, fear, and anger can actually damage our chi,
Hmm.
which then impacts our organs and our overall well-being.
So they were already connecting the dots between our mental and physical health
Yeah.
all those years
Of
ago.
those years ago.
But what about the idea of longevity? Did they believe it was predetermined, or did they think people could actually influence their lifespan?
The text definitely suggests that our lifestyle choices play a role.
Okay.
They talk about how a person's constitution, their inherent strengths and weaknesses can influence their longevity.
Right.
But they also emphasize the importance of cultivating good habits and living in harmony with the natural world.
So it's not just about genetics. It's about making choices that support our overall well-being.
Precisely. And they provide some fascinating insights into what those choices might entail.
Okay.
For example, they talk about the importance of maintaining a balance
Yeah.
between our physical form and our ki.
So what exactly does that mean? How do you balance your physical form with your ki?
They believed that a healthy person's chi should slightly surpass their physical form. In other words, your vital energy should be abundant and vibrant.
And what happens if that balance is off?
Well, if your ki is weak or depleted,
Uh-huh.
it can lead to a decline in health,
Okay.
even if you have a robust physical form.
I see.
And conversely, if your chi is strong, but your physical body is weakened by illness or neglect,
Yeah.
it can also impact your longevity.
So it's like a delicate dance
Oh, yeah.
between our physical and energetic selves.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting way to think about it.
Yeah.
But how could they tell if someone's ki was strong or weak just by looking at them?
They developed a keen eye for reading subtle physical signs.
Like what?
Well, for example, they believed that a full form with loose skin was a positive sign of longevity.
Wait, loose skin? Really? That seems counterintuitive.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But in their view, it signified adaptability and flow, allowing ki to circulate freely. On the other hand, they associated a full form with tight skin with a shorter lifespan. They saw it as a sign of rigidity and restriction,
Yeah.
which could hinder the flow of chi.
That's fascinating. It really makes you think about how differently they viewed the human body
Right.
and its connection to health and longevity.
Yeah.
I'm especially curious to learn more about those specific characteristics they associated with a long life.
Well, they go into quite a bit of detail about that.
Okay.
They even describe how to assess someone's longevity based on their bone structure and muscle firmness.
This is all so intriguing.
Yeah.
So are you saying they could actually predict how long someone might live
Well,
just by observing their physical appearance?
it wasn't about making precise prediction,
Right.
but rather gaining a deeper understanding of a person's overall vitality and potential for longevity.
Okay.
And they believed that by addressing imbalances early on,
Uh-huh.
you could potentially influence the course of someone's health and extend their lifespan.
That's incredible. It really highlights the importance of prevention
Yes.
and taking proactive steps to maintain our health.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm especially curious to delve into their recommendations for achieving longevity.
Me too. And they actually provide quite a bit of guidance in that regard.
Okay.
They talk about specific lifestyle practices,
Uh-huh.
dietary recommendations, and even mental and emotional exercises
Wow.
that can help us cultivate a long and healthy life.
I can't wait to unpack all of that.
What?
But before we do, I think we should take a closer look at one particular condition they discussed in detail: cold by. They even provided a specific recipe for treating it.
Oh, yes, the medicated compress.
Yeah.
That's a classic example of their approach to using natural remedies
Right.
to address specific imbalances.
Mhm.
It involves a fascinating blend of ingredients,
Okay.
and the preparation method is quite intricate.
It sounds like we're in for a treat.
Mhm.
So let's dive into that recipe and see what we can learn about their approach to treating cold by and restoring balance to the body.
Let's do it. That recipe for the medicated compress
Okay.
is a great example of how they combine different ingredients
Yeah.
to create this synergistic effect.
Okay.
Each component had specific properties
Right.
that, when combined, were believed to address those underlying causes of cold by.
Okay, so walk me through it. What exactly did they put in this compress?
Well, the recipe calls for strong wine,
Okay.
Sichuan pepper,
Okay.
dried ginger,
Okay.
and cassia bark.
So they're putting all that.
Yeah, just imagine. soaking all of that together,
Yeah.
then drying it in the sun
Okay.
to create this potent mixture.
It sounds like something you'd smell before you even saw it.
Oh, yeah.
What was the thinking behind using those specific ingredients?
Each ingredient was chosen for its therapeutic properties.
Uh-huh.
Strong wine was used to promote circulation and open up the meridians.
Okay.
Sichuan pepper, known for its warming and pain-relieving properties,
Oh, yeah.
was added to dispel cold and alleviate pain.
And the ginger and cassia bark.
Dried ginger is another powerful warming agent,
Uh-huh.
often used in traditional Chinese medicine to address digestive issues and boost circulation. And cassia bark,
Yeah.
with its aromatic and warming qualities, was believed to help regulate qi flow and reduce inflammation.
So it was like a multi-pronged attack on cold by,
You know what?
using ingredients that worked on different levels.
Exactly. They weren't just masking the symptoms.
Right.
They were trying to get to the root of the problem
Yeah.
by addressing the underlying imbalances that were causing the pain and numbness.
I love how they used such a hands-on approach,
Yeah.
almost like crafting a personalized remedy
Yeah.
for each individual.
Right.
But the text also mentioned that there were 2 different ways to treat cold bio, depending on your social status.
Interesting. Right.
Why was that?
Commoners who likely didn't have access to the same resources
Yeah.
or ingredients were advised to simply apply heat to the affected area.
So a more basic approach for
Yeah.
everyday folks.
Yes, but still utilizing that principle of warmth
Right.
to address the cold that was believed to be at the root of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Nobles, on the other hand,
Yeah.
were treated with those more elaborate medicated compresses.
I guess having access to strong wine and exotic spices
Right.
was a perk of being in the upper class.
Indeed. But beyond the specific ingredients, what's
Yeah.
fascinating to me is the level of detail they provide about the preparation process. It wasn't just a matter of throwing things together.
Yeah.
They had very specific instructions for grinding, soaking, drying,
Wow.
and applying the mixture.
It speaks to a level of care and precision
It does.
that we often miss in modern medicine, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It wasn't just about treating the disease.
Right.
It was about treating the whole person with respect and attention to detail.
Okay, so we've talked about how they diagnosed illnesses
Yes.
and some of the treatments they used.
Yeah.
But what about those factors they said could contribute to a longer life? They mentioned the importance of harmony between form and qi,
Right.
but what else did they emphasize?
Well, they believed that having an abundance of blood,
Okay.
qi, and meridian energy was essential for longevity.
Okay.
They saw these as vital substances
Yeah.
that nourished the body and kept everything functioning optimally.
So it's not just about having a strong physical body.
Right.
It's about having a strong internal energy system as well.
Exactly. They understood that true health and longevity went beyond just the physical.
Okay.
And they also stressed the importance of having a close connection
Okay.
between the skin and flesh.
What do they mean by that?
They believed that the skin acted as a protective barrier, and when it was closely connected to the flesh,
Yeah.
it helped prevent the loss of vital fluids and energy.
Okay.
It was seen as a sign of vitality and resilience.
There's sense.
Yeah.
But I'm so curious about those physical signs they use to assess longevity.
Yeah.
They talked about looking at someone's bone structure and muscle firmness. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. They believed that strong,
Okay.
well-defined bones
Uh-huh.
were a sign of a strong constitution,
Right.
while weak or brittle bones suggested a predisposition to illness.
Gotcha.
Similarly, firm muscles
Yeah.
were seen as an indicator of vitality,
Okay.
while flabby or weak muscles suggested a lack of energy and a higher risk of disease.
So they were paying attention to the whole package,
They were.
looking for signs of strength and vitality in every aspect of a person's physique.
Precisely. And remember, they weren't just observing these things in isolation.
Yeah.
They were looking for patterns,
Okay.
connections,
Wow.
and subtle nuances that gave them this holistic understanding of a person's health and potential for longevity.
Gotcha.
It's like they were piecing together a puzzle
I see.
using every clue they could gather to get the full picture.
And that brings us back to the
Yeah.
central theme of balance, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It was about looking at how all the different parts of the body work together,
Right.
how the physical, the
Right.
energetic,
Yeah.
and even the emotional were all intertwined.
Right.
And when those aspects were in harmony,
Mm-hmm.
they believed it created the optimal conditions for a long and healthy life.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about the importance of yin and yang,
Yeah.
the concept of qi,
Yeah.
how they diagnosed and treated illnesses,
Yeah.
and even the factors they believed could contribute to longevity.
Uh-huh.
But there's one more piece of the puzzle I want to explore, how they viewed the connection between the body and the environment.
Ah, yes. The interplay between the internal and the external.
Yeah.
That's another key principle
Yeah.
of traditional Chinese medicine. They believed that our health was deeply influenced by the world around us, by the
Right.
seasons,
Yeah.
the climate,
Right.
and even the emotions we experience.
So it's not just about what's going on inside our bodies.
Right.
It's about how we interact with the world around us.
Exactly. And they had specific ideas about how different external factors could impact our health.
Okay.
For example, they believed that wind could harm the muscles and meridians,
Right.
while cold could penetrate the body and cause stiffness and pain.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
We've all experienced how a cold draft can make our muscles ache.
Right. And they even had specific recommendations for how to protect ourselves from these external influences, such as wearing appropriate clothing for the weather, avoiding drafts, and engaging in practices that strengthen our internal energy.
So it was about finding a balance between adapting to our environment
Yes,
and also strengthening our internal resilience.
precisely. It was a holistic approach that recognized the interconnectedness of everything. I think that's one of the most valuable lessons we can learn from these ancient practices.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to touch on one more point that really stood out to me.
Okay.
The text mentions how a person with a weak foundation and disproportionate build might not live past 30. That seems like a pretty stark statement.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But remember, they were writing in a time when life expectancy was much shorter than it is today. And they were observing patterns in their patients, noticing how certain physical characteristics seem to correlate with health and longevity.
So they were trying to identify those early warning signs, those red flags that might indicate a higher risk of illness or a shorter lifespan?
Exactly. And they believed that by recognizing these patterns, they could potentially intervene early on and help people make lifestyle changes that might improve their chances of living a longer, healthier life.
That's a really powerful idea.
Yeah.
They were saying, pay attention to your body,
Yeah.
understand your strengths and weaknesses, and take proactive steps to maintain your health.
Absolutely. And I think that message is just as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago.
For sure.
We may have more advanced medical technologies now, but we can still learn a lot from these ancient wisdom traditions about the importance of prevention, balance, and living in harmony with ourselves and the world around us.
I couldn't agree more. And I'm sure our listener is eager to hear more about those specific recommendations for cultivating a long and healthy life.
Yeah.
So let's delve into that in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good to me. There's so much more to unpack here.
All right, so let's pick up where we left off. We're just about to dive into the Yellow Emperor's Classic's specific recommendations for cultivating a long and healthy life.
Yeah.
What kind of guidance did they offer?
Well, it wasn't about a one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay.
They emphasized the importance of understanding your individual constitution, your unique strengths and weaknesses.
So no magic pill for longevity then?
Not exactly.
Okay.
But they did offer a framework for making lifestyle choices that could promote health and vitality.
Okay.
For example, they emphasized the importance of moderation in all things.
That sounds familiar. Everything in moderation is still a pretty common piece of health advice today.
It is, and they applied it to everything.
Real?
From diet and exercise to sleep and even emotional regulation.
So tell me more about their dietary recommendations. Did they have specific foods they considered beneficial for longevity?
They definitely believed that food played a crucial role in maintaining balance within the body.
Right.
They emphasized eating seasonally, choosing foods that were locally grown and in harmony with the natural cycles.
That makes sense.
Ah!
Eating strawberries in the middle of winter probably wouldn't have been viewed as the best idea.
Exactly. They also advocated for a balanced diet that included a variety of grains, vegetables,
Yeah.
fruits,
Okay.
and lean proteins.
Uh-huh.
They weren't big fans of processed foods or excessive consumption of rich, heavy meals.
It sounds like they were ahead of their time in terms of promoting whole foods, plant-based approach to eating.
You could say that.
Yeah.
They also recognized the importance of mindful eating,
Mm.
paying attention to your food, chewing thoroughly, and savoring each bite.
Uh.
They believed this helped with digestion
Okay.
and also fostered a sense of gratitude
Uh-huh.
and appreciation for the nourishment we receive.
It's like they were advocating for mindfulness practices
Yeah.
centuries before they became popular.
They were, and their recommendations extended beyond just what we eat.
Right.
They also placed a lot of emphasis on physical activity,
Okay.
but not in the way we might think of it today.
I mean,
Well, they weren't advocating for strenuous workouts
Okay.
or marathon running.
right.
They believed in gentle,
Uh-huh.
flowing movements
Yeah.
that promoted flexibility, balance, and
Oh.
circulation.
Okay.
Practices like Tai Chi and Qigong,
Right.
which are still popular today,
Yeah.
embodying those principles.
So it was more about cultivating a sense of ease and flow in the body
Yeah.
rather than pushing yourself to the limit.
Exactly. They believed that by moving our bodies in a mindful and intentional way, we could help regulate ki flow
Yeah.
and maintain a sense of harmony within.
This is all starting to paint a really clear picture
Yeah.
of their overall philosophy of health and longevity. It's not about chasing after some external fountain of youth.
Right.
It's about cultivating a way of life
It is.
that supports balance and harmony
Yeah.
in every aspect of our being.
You've got it.
And they even offered guidance on managing our emotions,
Yes.
recognizing that stress and negativity could impact our health
Yeah.
and shorten our lifespan.
Uh-huh.
They recommended practices like meditation,
Okay.
spending time in nature,
Yeah.
and cultivating positive relationships
Right.
to help us maintain a balanced emotional state.
Absolutely.
So it was about nurturing not just our physical bodies,
Yeah.
but also our minds and spirits.
Absolutely. They understood that true health and well-being
Yeah.
encompassed all aspects of ourselves.
It's incredible how these ancient principles still resonate today.
I know.
So much of what they were advocating for
Yeah.
aligns with modern ideas
Right.
about holistic health
Yeah.
and preventative care.
It is. And I think it's a testament to the enduring wisdom of these traditions.
Right.
They may not have had the scientific tools and understanding that we have today,
Yeah.
but they were keen observers of the human condition
Uh-huh.
and developed practices that aim to support our inherent capacity for healing and longevity.
It's like they were tapping into this deep well of knowledge
Yeah,
about the human body and its connection to the natural world.
exactly.
And I think that's something we can all learn from. We may live in a very different world than they did,
Yeah,
but the fundamentals of health and well-being haven't really changed.
I agree.
It's still about finding that balance,
Yes.
cultivating resilience,
Yeah.
and living in a way that honors our mind, body, and spirit.
That's such a beautiful way to put it.
As we wrap up this deep dive into Chapter 6 of the Yellow Emperor's Classic,
Yeah.
I can't help but feel inspired by the depth and wisdom
I know.
contained within these ancient texts.
Me too.
They remind us that true health is a journey,
Yeah.
not a destination,
It is.
and that by embracing a holistic approach,
Yeah,
we can cultivate a life filled with vitality and longevity.
absolutely.
And to our listener out there, we'd love to know what resonated most with you from this deep dive. What insights will you carry with you on your own health and wellness journey? Let us know. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep seeking that beautiful balance within yourself and the world around you.